Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. This podcast is going to walk you through my journey into mediumship and how I came to realize that I could communicate with souls that have passed over. My adventure started just over a year ago when unusual situations started happening to me. It wasn't until I really started to pay attention to them that it all started to come together. I wrote down everything that I was experiencing this past year in a little black book, and this podcast is going to be a recap of all of those memories leading up to where I am today in my mediumship journey. I will be releasing new episodes every Tuesday, and I recommend listening to the podcast in order, starting with episode 1, as my story will unfold more week by week. If you would like to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at Medium in the Middle. Hello, and welcome to episode 34. As you can see by the episode title, today we are going to be talking all about the Akashic Records. This weekend, I took a course about learning to read the Akashic Records so that you can read for yourself and you can read for others. So I am excited to share what I learned with you guys, my listeners, because before I took the course, I didn't know much about the Akashic Records. Before we jump into this week's episode, I just want to say if you are new here, welcome. If you haven't subscribed to my podcast, please press that subscribe button. And if you are using iTunes, I would love a rating and a review. It just takes a few moments of your time, and it really helps me out in the podcast world to help new listeners find the podcast. So thank you very much to anyone who has left a review. I read them all, and I appreciate them so much. Okay, before we jump into this week's content, I am going to pull a card for you. So I like to pull a card just as a little guidance from the universe, especially with what we're all experiencing and going through right now. It's nice to just check in with the universe, ask if we need to be reminded of anything. So as I've been doing every week, I'm pulling an oracle card from the Colette Baron Read the Enchanted Map deck. You can use any oracle card deck if you are looking to buy an oracle card deck. I was gifted this deck when I did my Reiki Masters course, so it's really special to me, and I've been really enjoying getting to know this deck. It's been helping me understand the cards better. I've been getting used to the meanings. It's helping me when I do readings for my friends. So I've been really enjoying this deck, but if you are wanting to pull oracle cards or if you are wanting to buy a set of oracle cards, you can use any deck. It does not have to be this one. I just used this one because it was gifted to me and I've been really enjoying it. So when I shuffled the deck, I do ask, what do we need to know right now? What does the universe need to tell us? Anything guidance-wise, it's kind of a blanket statement for my listeners. And today I pulled card number 7, Into the Unknown. How fitting. So I'm going to read the card description. Trust and all will be revealed. Life is an adventure, and often new opportunities will arise that you won't know how to deal with. This is one of those times. You're required to trust that this new phase will reveal wonders and miracles as you step into unknown territory. Imagine that you are not only a pathfinder, but a path maker. Whatever your inquiry, trust that you'll be safe. Stay aware as you discover new and marvelous territories and valuable treasures. Holy moly, is this ever what we all need to hear and what we're all experiencing? With the world essentially in lockdown, we are really just walking into the unknown. We have no idea when this is going to end. We don't know what's going to happen. So we just needed to be reminded that we're finding a new path right now and we're making a new path. So very interesting that this card was pulled. The past few weeks have been really hitting the nail on the head. And I haven't been pulling cards for myself every day because I almost feel overwhelmed with information right now. The world is so topsy-turvy. I can't handle it. So I've just been pulling maybe 1 or 2 times a week. And yeah, I guess this was a good reminder for today. Alrighty, so let's jump into this week's topic of the Akashic Records. I want to start this story from the beginning of my experience with the Akashic Records, and then I will describe what they are and describe how the course went, and just share with you the information that I learned because it was super interesting and very different from what I'm used to. So I'm used to Reiki and channeling and talking to souls that have passed over, and the Akashic Records are none of that. So it was a big shift for me, and I learned a lot, and I'm super interested in learning more. So I'm excited to share that information with you today. So I would say that my journey with the Akashic Records started maybe 6 months ago. I remember it was still sunny out when I was talking to a friend, so maybe longer. And I have a friend that is a channeler. She will be coming on the podcast soon. I'm excited to talk to her about what she does and just experiences that we've had together. But I was talking to her about how I really wanted a past life regression. So before I started my podcast, before I started any of this, like we're taking it back maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years even, I was very afraid to start. I have this fear of starting, and it was a deep-rooted fear. And when I was working with my mentor or when I would go for different readings with people, they were always talking about this fear and talking about how I'm so afraid to start because in past lives I've been killed for this work. And I've been punished in past lives for being who I am and doing what I do. So the joke that I always say is that I'm a witch and that I have been killed for being a witch in past lives. And that really resonates with me because it explains why I'm so fearful in this life to do things and to take steps and to put myself out there. I'm getting better at it now, but in the beginning, I literally could not even say the word mediumship. I couldn't call myself a medium. Even in the beginning episodes of the podcast, I just don't say the word. It's hilarious, but now I'm more comfortable with it. And this was something that kind of came up, but I never did a full past life regression session with anyone. It was always something I was interested in, but I wanted to find the right person, and you want to go to someone who's good. So past life regressions has been on my tongue the past 3 to 6 months, I would say. It's something that I've discussed with friends wanting to do, something I wanted to dive into. And just to be clear, past life regressions and Akashic record readings are two very different things. But at the time, I was very much interested in past life regressions, wanting to know what I had gone through in different lives and why I am the way I am now, why I hold so much fear, and just wanting to know more information. This is about a month ago now. I was again talking to the same friend about how I really wanted to do a past life regressions. And there was a few people on my Instagram feed that were doing Akashic record readings. And it kept popping up. And I was just thinking, okay, I keep seeing about Akashic record readings. I have no idea what that is, but maybe that's what I need to do. Like, it's been showing up on my Instagram feed so much, and it was just kind of like showing up in my life. My friend got a book and she was telling me about how she went into the records and how it was incredible, how I should read this book. And then my friend also told me about how she was doing a course and I should do the course too. And at this time, I was kind of like, I have no idea what Akashic records are. I don't know what a reading is. I don't know anything. And it was similar to when I started Reiki, how I didn't know anything about Reiki. I was just drawn to it. Same with Akashic Records. I didn't know anything about it, but I was interested in it. And my ears kind of perked up when someone talked about it. Or I would see it in my feed, or my friends would tell me about it. And I was like, like, what's that? Or I saw other people around me offering it as a service. And I was just unaware that they offered that as a service. So it was like, oh, like this healer does that too, or oh, this person offers that too. Interesting. Like I didn't even know because I never looked into it. So I decided to get an Akashic Records reading, and there was a girl in town that was offering them. She was offering them at a discounted rate due to the situation at hand. And I thought, you know what? I have nothing to lose. It's a discounted rate. I'm supporting someone local. I know of this girl. So, if I can support anyone, I'd like to support someone that I know. And I literally have nothing to lose. So I'm going to book an appointment with her and just try it out. So before the appointment came, she sent me an email and she said that I have to have 1 or 2 questions for my appointment prepared. And they have to be a question of how, what, or why. So questions that start with how, what, or why. So before my appointment, I prepared a question. I wanted to know, how do I separate Reiki and mediumship? So right now I'm trying to focus my appointments to be Reiki or mediumship, and I just feel like I'm at a fork in the road where I just don't know how to do that. If I need to do that, how do I separate the two? How do I form mediumship sessions? I'm just in this kind of transition phase of my business where I'm looking to offer more specific sessions so that clients know what they're getting into when they come to see me. And now is the good time to do it because I have time to re-describe everything and reorganize my sessions. And I'm building a website right now, and I'm adding to my offerings. I'm adding Distance Reiki. I've been getting a lot of requests for house clearings here in the Valley, so I want to offer that and write what a house clearing is. Because I found that when people ask you for things constantly, you should probably start offering it. Hello, Stephanie, listen to the universe. So this is kind of where I was stuck, and I wanted just to know, how do I separate these two? I need a roadmap, I need help. So that's the question that I went in with. So we did the session over Zoom, and it's a video chat, and she says a prayer. All she needs is my full legal name to get into the records. And it's similar to channeling, but different. It's more conversation style, which is something I wasn't used to. So she said it's meant to be very interactive. So she said the more that I talk and have a conversation, the more I'll get out of this session. And the people who kind of sit there and don't say anything don't get as much out of their sessions. So she's like, you're meant to be talking with me when I'm in the records. So you can ask for clarification. You can go deeper. Don't be afraid to talk to me. Thinking back on it, I really didn't say too much because it was something that I've never done before. I'm used to kind of just sitting and listening. She went in, she said the prayer, and she said the records are now open, and you ask your question. And they start to describe what they see and feel around you. And of course, it makes more sense to me than it does for her. But it provided a lot of insight for me, and it was a super cool reading. So I did a 30-minute reading, and I got 3 pages of notes. So while she was talking, I was writing notes, and I was really amazed about the information that she provided to me and the clarity that I got around my question and just getting what I needed to hear. It was what I already know, but I'm the type of person that when someone tells it to me, it clicks more. It's funny because I'll give advice to clients and I'll work with people, and I'm very happy to help. A few times my friends have said to me, Steph, you tell your clients this, like, why aren't you doing it? Or you need to hear this right now and you tell me this. And I always say, yes, I know, like, I'm better at giving advice than I am at receiving advice, but I think we all are like that. It's a lot easier to say than to do. So it was definitely really useful information for me. And I really enjoyed the session. I was quite surprised how cool it was and how much I got out of it. So my session, I believe, was on a Tuesday, and the course started on Friday. So I had to decide really quickly if I wanted to do this course that my friend had signed up for as well, and she was telling me that I should sign up with her and that I would be super interested in it. So after my reading, I thought, you know what, why not? I'll sign up for this course. I have nothing to lose. They were offering it at a discounted rate because it was going to be online via Zoom and not in person like it was originally planned. So I was just thinking, if I do want to get certified, this is the cheapest I will ever be able to get certified for, because in the future I'd have to go to a 2-day course and I'd have to have the time off, and I'm a workaholic, so I very rarely have days off, let alone 2 days off in a row. So I just figured, you know what, I have nothing to lose. It'll give me something to look forward to, and it'll give me something to do for 2 days while I'm in quarantine, doing nothing, moping around, not changing out of pajamas. It's a vibe, guys. I know you feel me. So I decided to sign up for the course. So I now had 2 days to read a book that we had to read before the course. I just couldn't get into the book, and I just kept trying to read it every day. I was carrying it around with me everywhere, like I was going to read this book, and I never did. I think I read 15 pages of it. So I'd go down to make food, and I'd bring the book with me. I'd go for a walk, and I'd bring the book with me. I'd go to sit downstairs to have a cup of coffee and read the book, and I'd just have a cup of coffee and not end up reading. So it was just super interesting that I didn't want to read the book. And then I thought, oh man, like, am I not reading the book because I'm not interested? Like, is this a sign? Am I not going to do this course? And then it was the day the course started, and I had only read like 15 or 30 pages of the book. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to skim it. I've been in university. I know how to do this. I'm going to skim the rest of this book and just know the gist of it so that when I go into the course, I don't look like an idiot that I hadn't read the book. Friday night comes and the course begins. And it's super interesting. On Friday night, we learn how to open up the records for ourselves. I leave kind of like with a little bit better understanding of the records, but not really. But I was like feeling good about the course. So I just want to read you a little excerpt from the book that we used to explain what the records are, so that you also have a better idea of what the records are, because I didn't know what they were until this course. So the book that the course was based off of was by Linda Howe, and it is called How to Read the Akashic Records. So the book fully explains how to read it. I don't actually think you need to be certified. Definitely certification in courses help, but even our teacher was like, some people just don't believe in certifications and that they can learn anything on their own. She's like, technically, anyone can go into their own records. So yes, you can learn this on your own or by reading the book. We based the entire course off of this book. So I'm just going to read from page 3. This is fully her information about what the Akashic Records are. So the Akashic Records are a dimension of consciousness that contains a vibrational record of every soul and its journey. This vibrational body of consciousness exists everywhere in its entirety and is completely available at all times and in all places. As such, the records are an experiential body of knowledge that contains everything that every soul has ever thought, said, and done over the course of its existence, as well as all its future possibilities. So the way that the course was explained is that the Akashic Records contain everything past and present and all future possibilities. So your records don't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but it does consider all possibilities. So we are in free choice. You can do whatever you want. You can change your mind tomorrow. So there's future possibilities. It's not what the future is going to hold, because I could be a Reiki and medium today, and tomorrow I can be like, nope, I want to be a nurse, and I'm going to go to school for a nurse, and now my path has changed. So it does take in free will, which is why it talks about future possibilities. I'm just going to continue reading about what dimension of consciousness means. So a dimension of consciousness is a realm of the unseen world that we as humans can identify and experience through its qualities, characteristics, or its traits. So this was explained to me that when we leave source, or to understand the Akashic Records, you have to understand reincarnation. So when we leave source, that is when our records start, and over our many lifetimes, we are creating these records until we return to source. So until you stop coming back as a physical being. So I hope that helps describe what Akashic Records are very basically. This book is very long and it explains Akashic Records the whole time for the full 200 pages. But this is just a general outline so that you understand what they are. So it is a record of everything your soul has ever experienced. So how this is tied into kind of past lives is that if you ask certain questions, or if you go in asking for clarity on something, it might bring you back to a past life to explain why you have this trait in the world today, or why you're stuck in this pattern in this life, because for the past 3 lives, you've been stuck in this pattern. So when you go into the records, they ask you to have a question, and the question is to get better understanding of what you've experienced so that you can better know how to go about your life now. So you're not changing the records in any way, you're just changing your understanding of what happened so that you energetically can move forward with more information. So there is a ton of information online that you can learn about the Akashic Records. The book is very helpful, so I'm going to go back and reread the book this week so that now that I've done the course, I can really get a deeper understanding of it. Again, the book is called How to Read the Akashic Records by Linda Howe. You don't have to read this book. You can get any book on the Akashic Records if you want to read about it, but that's the gist of it. So you go into your records and you ask questions to help you out in your world today. So now I'm going to jump into day 2 of the course. So we went to sleep and we had some homework, and then we woke up and we had the course again. So the morning was good. We practiced opening up the records with a partner, and then we practiced opening up our records again. and we did different exercises to learn how to be in the records. The way that they describe it is that being in the records, you're talking to your masters, teachers, and loved ones. You need to learn how to communicate with them. So they know you very well, but you don't know them very well because you haven't talked to them that much. So the more that you go into your records, the better you are at communication. That is why they say when you're in the records, it needs to be a conversation, because if you don't understand something, you need to stay to your masters, teachers, and loved ones. I don't understand that. Can you explain it? Or could you go deeper into this piece of information that you provided with me? And just learning how to communicate with them. The teacher said something in the course. She said, if we were talking to a human and the human had their fist in their mouth, so they were talking, we would ask them to take their fist out of their mouth and then continue to talk. So she said, same thing in the records. If you don't understand what they're saying to you, you need to ask for more clarity, which is why the questions and the conversation is very important, because it's all based out of this conversation that you're having in your records. So that really made sense for me, because I was kind of having a hard time wrapping my head around this, because I'm very much Reiki and mediumship, and with Reiki, I'm dealing with your energy the way it currently is right now. And with mediumship, I'm speaking to spirit. I can understand that. I can understand working with human energy, and I can understand working with an energy that is past. The records was just something else that I had to wrap my head around. So I said, okay, I can get behind this. So in the afternoon, they gave us another exercise. The exercise was that we had to go into the records and ask our own records a question, and then we got an answer. And then we were paired up with a partner, and we went with a partner, and the partner read our records, and we asked the same question. So it was to compare when we go into our own records versus when someone else goes into our own records. So I wrote down the answer to my question, and then I was paired with this woman, and I was meant to ask the same question to her and see what the answers were. So by this time, I was not fully convinced about the records. And I was just kind of thinking, okay, this is cool, but I don't know if I can really get behind this. And for me, I have to mentally be able to wrap my mind around how something works before I can fully believe in it. And I just wasn't there yet with the records until this exercise. Literally, my mind was blown. So we went in and we had to ask a question. So I'm just going to share the question because it'll be a lot easier to describe this story. So they asked us to go in and ask 2 questions. They said, what are our unique and special talents and gifts? And how can we best use them at this time? So when I went in, I got the answer that my unique talents and gifts need to be shared and I need to be teaching others. So kind of like teaching was my answer. And then I was paired up with a stranger. I had never met her before. She was in this group. We just were popped into a Zoom meeting together. And I just instantly said, okay, this is my full legal name and let's go into it. But then once she started talking, she hit the nail on the head. So my main thing was that I should be teaching others. That was the answer to my question. And she just said it in a different way. She said that I need to be sharing my wisdom. And when she said that, I was like, oh, damn. There's no way she could have guessed that randomly. And part of my answer, my original answer when I went into my records myself, I had 4 different parts. So my number 1 thing was that I should be teaching. And then I had 3 other answers as well. So when she said that I should be sharing my wisdom, I was like, okay, wow, she got the number 1 thing and she got that one first. But then she keeps talking and she says the 3 other things that I got when I went into my own records. So I'm sitting there with my jaw on the ground, just having my big aha moment, being like, okay, there's no way that we both went into my own records and we both got the same 4 answers. This wasn't just 1 or 2. She couldn't have guessed it. She literally got all 4 answers that I got when I went into my own records. And then when we switched and I read for her, she was in tears about how accurate the information I was saying, how accurate it was for her. And I was just thinking, okay, well, I could have gotten that by Reiki and reading her energy, but really, I didn't feel like I was doing Reiki. It wasn't me. It was like me tuning into something else. And the records just feel different when you're in them. So it's still an energy, but it's bigger and it feels like a structure almost. It feels like sturdy, like a house. So after that experience, we all came back in a group and we discussed it. And I just shared that I had a huge aha moment and I get it. Like, I get the records now. I understand that two people can go into my own records and get the same information, but it was said differently. So if you need to hear things differently, you can have someone else read your records, or sometimes the records say things that you need to hear. And it was just like my mind was blown. This was one of the last things that we did in the course, one of the last exercises. So I'm really happy that it ended that way and that I had this moment inside the course, because without it, I don't know if I would have been fully convinced. But it was so cool that we both came up with the same answers going into my records. Like, that's exactly what they were trying to show us, was that you're going to get the same answer, but in a different way, because it's two different people reading your records. So when I go into my records, I'm talking to my own masters, teachers, and loved ones. And when she goes into my records, she's talking to my masters, teachers, and loved ones. Because there were two different people, we can understand the information differently. So it's going through a different lens. So I thought that was so cool. So now I'm all about the Akashic Records, and I can't wait to learn more and reread this book. And we're practicing, so we have to practice for the next 30 days. And I just found it very helpful because the records provide answers. So something that people ask me a lot when they come for a Reiki session is they want direction, they want to know what to do, they want to know what's next, and we're human. Of course, we want to know all those things. But in my Reiki sessions or mediumship sessions, or when I'm getting psychic information, I just have a really big belief that it's not my job to tell you what to do. It's not my job to tell you what's next. It's not my job to do any of that. It's your job, your life, your decisions. So I, a lot of times, will not tell people what to do. And I have this face that I give and this little side smirk that I'm sure people hate when they're like, "You're not going to tell me, are you?" And I always say no, because it's not my job to tell you what to do. It's your job. I can tell you these are your path options, but you have to decide what your path is. But in the records, it's very different, because you're asking yourself and you're getting the information from yourself so you can get answers. You're asking questions to get clarity on your life, and it's coming from you and your past, so it makes sense for you. So you can ask questions in the records expecting to get answers or expecting to get clarity that will help you to know what to do. And it was really cool because I just thought that this is something that my clients will enjoy, because sometimes people want answers and sometimes people want energy work and healing, and that is different than what Akashic Record readings are. So I'm thinking after this 30-day trial, I'm definitely going to be offering readings. So if you're interested, stay tuned. They'll be here soon. But also, I was thinking about doing a session where it would be like half Reiki, where you get the healing and you get the body work and you get the releases. But then if you have questions, like the second half of the session can be going into your records and having that conversation. And that is part of your healing, and that is part of what you need. So just seeing what people need and being able to have these different things in my tool belt to help with your specific situation, because every single person needs something different. And I didn't even know that I needed the Akashic Records, but they found their way into my life, and I'm so damn happy that they're here. So I'm excited to share this knowledge with you, and I'm excited to share this journey that I'm going on with you, because it's new and it's exciting, and it kind of lit the fire under me to just keep pushing forward and keep learning and expanding my offerings. And even when quarantine is getting hard, so hard, this is something that I can continue to learn and practice and fill up my schedule with. So I hope you learned something today and you just got a little bit of the tip of the iceberg of all that the Akashic Records are and can be. If you are interested in a reading, there are many people who are already certified in this. You can find someone in your town. If you would like a reading with me, I will be ready in 30 days, so 1 month. So by the end of May, I will be fully ready to be doing other people's readings, but I want to take these 30 days to do as many readings as I can to become as good and connected as I can before I start offering this as a service, and just learning in this time and fully being a student and taking it all in. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am creating a website that is going to have Distance Reiki on it and Akashic Record readings. So, I know that website development takes a long time, but I'm working on it every day, and I hope to get that out within the month as well. So, a lot of things are going to be happening over these 30 days. I'm excited for life to get back to normal, but I also want all of these things to be done before I go back to work so that it's all these systems set in place to just set me up for success. So keep an eye out for my website. I'll be notifying everybody on my Instagram and Facebook. So if you don't already follow me, Medium in the Middle on Instagram, Medium in the Middle on Facebook. I post updates there, and I also post the card that I pull every week. So if you want to physically see what it looks like, you can go on to my Instagram and check it out. So thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little something and maybe got curious. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Medium in the Middle, and I will see you all next Tuesday. Have a great week. Bye.